What is going on, Sales Nation? Andrew here, the host of the Starting in Sales podcast, and today we are going to discuss strategies and tools to help you achieve your goals by staying process-driven, staying consistent, and staying proactive in your day-to-day measures. So we're going to be going over, I think, 6 apps I wanted to talk to you guys about. Not necessarily all apps, but 6 tools, that's a better term, that I use every single day in order to stay consistent, stay on track, stay proactive, and stay process-driven. Because if you're not process-driven, you're probably just your days probably consist of a series of reactions, which is not going to get you very far in the sales game, all right? I had a mentor who once coined the term the 4-mile sales rep, and what this means is somebody who is doing, think of a runner. The runner that's running 4 miles every day for 365 days is going to accumulate a lot more miles over the course of that year than the runner who wakes up and goes for a run based on how they feel that day. All right. And that doesn't matter if one day it's 8 miles, right? Because one day it's going to be 0 miles. One day it's going to be 1.5 miles. So the one who's doing 4 consistently for 365 is going to get way further ahead than the one who's kind of reacting to how they feel in the morning. So that's a good analogy. Use it when you want to use it. I actually love that one. So the 7 we're going to be going over today, guys, are and I'm going to give a little blurb as I say each of these, just so if they come back up before I get to the next one, you'll know what I'm talking about. So we've got the daily driver, all right? This is a checklist that I made inside of Microsoft Word that consists of a couple of things that I'm trying to get done every morning before 9 a.m. If I don't, my day is going to start out as a series of reactions, and that's the worst thing it could possibly be as a sales rep who's trying to be successful. I need to be proactive. So daily driver is in Microsoft Word, basically a checklist, things that I need to finish before 9 a.m. hits. Usually takes me 30 to 35, maybe 40 minutes. It just depends on how many emails and how many kind of things I got request last night that I need to react to. Time blocking. This is in Google Calendar. You guys should be tracking on this. This is where you're specifying your hours, what you're doing with your time during those hours, and you're making sure that you're doing nothing but what you have time blocked. All right. I've got FocusMate. All right. Little blurb on this one. This is an app or it's on your desktop. Just go to the browser, type in focusmate.com. What you're going to do here is you're going to connect with somebody randomly in any country across the world, also an English speaking or whatever your native tongue is, and you're going to list out your goals for the first minute. So when I use FocusMate, it's when I'm implementing my power hour, which is when I'm making an hour straight of calls. I'm not reacting to anything, even if one of those calls is, hey, I need a quote ran. I don't often run quotes on the phone, so usually it's collecting data and then running the quote. Even in those instances, those quotes are being ran at the end of the hour. The power hours are straight hours of calls. So FocusMate, I connect with someone. I say, hey, I have 20 calls I want to make this hour. They say, hey, I've got 2 chapters of a book that I'm writing that I want to write this hour. Let's imagine writing 2 chapters in an hour. I've got 2 paragraphs of a book I'm writing that I want to write this hour. Boom, the microphone's mute. You guys are still on camera, so there's a huge accountability factor there, right? You see them working and they see you working. And then at the last minute, boom, the mic's unmute. Hey, I got 19 of my 20 calls done. What about you? Yeah, I got both my paragraphs done. It was a really good session. Thanks, peace. And you move on. So I've got that's my FocusMate. That was number 3, guys. ChatGPT. A lot of you guys are tracking on this already. This is a artificial intelligence used to generate any content, and I don't just mean social media content. I mean like email marketing campaigns, a cover letter for a resume, rephrasing an email in a business tone or in an enthusiastic tone. I use this for really just 2 things: rephrasing emails. I'll find a lot of times I either have little emotion in my email or it's not coming across exactly how I want it to. This does that perfectly. You literally say, rephrase this as a business email in a enthusiastic tone, quotation mark, and you you type in what you want rephrased, or if you're copying and pasting it, you copy and paste what you want rephrased, end quotation mark, enter. Boom, this thing will spit out the best damn email that you've ever written. And then we've got that was number 4. So number 5, we've got the hourly chime app. This is just an iPhone app that's going to ring every hour. It's going to give you a notification that the hour has changed over. The reason that we're bringing this up is because it coincides with time blocking, so you can know when you need to move on to whatever that next hour is, whatever you have blocked for that next hour. We've got the Streaks app. That's number 6. This is just, for me, this is more for my social media stuff, but you can implement this however you want, and it's totally worth going over. It's a great app. I make sure I check it about 2 to 3 times a day to see if I'm on track for success, because at the end of the day, I want all my streaks to be complete so I can see how many days in a row I've had these streaks, and then I can kind of attribute some of the successes that I've had, or maybe some of the failures, to where I either outperformed or underperformed on my Streaks app. And then the last one, guys, this is, I think, number 7, is Evernote. You guys all know what this is. This is just like maybe not all of you, but this is a notes app that it's way more intricate than like your iPhone notes. It really helps you be successful with things like checklists, with things like scheduling. What do I schedule on there? Post, like when I'm making posts for my LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. It's a very intricate version of Notes, which I'm sure you guys have all used before. So now that you got the little blurb from each one, I'm hoping you're tracking. So when I go into, just hit the mic there. So when I go into the Daily Driver, which is the first one up in the chronological order, and you hear that like the first thing on there is to schedule FocusMate sessions, now you know what I'm talking about, right? So let's go into the Daily Driver. So this is, again, something that I have to finish before 9 a.m. If I don't, I'm not starting, like my day is not going to be off to a good start. The good thing is I've been doing it so long every single day that I always get it done before 9 a.m. So this just has the date at the top. I print this out every morning, and I'm going through with a Sharpie as I complete the items. So I put AM start time. That's the very first thing. And I'll pop this up on the screen so you guys can see it. Usually this takes me about 35 minutes to do, so I'll put 8 a.m. Sometimes it's 7:50. Usually between 7:50 and 8 is when I'm starting it. So the first task on there is to schedule my power hours. So I got to look at my calendar, and I got to say, hey, when can I dedicate 1 straight hour for calls? And then I'll block that 3 or 4 times. So 3 power hour sessions, which would be 3 hours of calls, or usually 4 power hour sessions in a day, which is 4 hours of calls. So when I do this power hour scheduling, I'm going to focusmate.com and I'm clicking, 10 a.m., I'm clicking 12, I'm clicking 1, and I'm clicking 2, and I'm scheduling an hour for each of those. That, since I have an account with FocusMate, automatically translates to my calendar. Boom, I've got my time block calls for the day. Before my day's even getting started, I know what I'm looking at in terms of when I'm going to be making my outreach. I've got update HubSpot from PM work. So HubSpot's our CRM. So I want to make sure if I did anything last night, I don't want that crap to slip through the cracks. Someone may have called me and said they need a refinance in 2 weeks. That's when they're going to be done with renovation. You think they're going to be reaching back out to me in 2 weeks? No, they're not. I need to reach out to them in 2 weeks. So I need to make sure that gets into my CRM and doesn't slip through the cracks. So that's number 2 on there. Number 3, and this is applicable to me only, is update my desktop loan calculator. So I'm a loan officer. So we've got a calculator, and this actually translates automatically into a quote. And when I send these quotes out, I have the date. So I want the date to be right on there every single day. I don't want to have to be changing it every single time I run a quote. I run a ton of these a day. So I go to my desktop, I click F2 on the icon, and I change the date to today's date. You see these little simple things that are just making my day so much smoother, right? The next thing is to go into Evernote and make sure all my do's are done. So on my Evernote, I have a note called do's, and it just means these are just checklists of things that I'm tracking on that need to be done. So if it's maybe I got an email at 8:30 p.m. and I didn't want to respond to it right away, what I'll do with that is I'll put in my Evernote do, I'll go on my phone and I'll say, make sure to run the quote for Kyle, right? And I'll put that on my do, and that way in the morning, I'm not Guys, I go to bed at like 9. I'm not running that night, right? When I wake up in the morning, I'm going to get up. That's the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, knock out that quote for Kyle. This is a personal one. I like to remind myself every day to send a text to my girlfriend to tell her, to have a really good day. It's just something that's consistent. It means a lot to me. I hope it means a lot to her. So send a thoughtful text to Rachel. That's on there. The next one after that is to check email, Slack, and Google Calendar. So a lot of times people have my calendar link. So a lot of times I'll get hours booked on there. So I want to make sure I'm tracking on what I have booked on my calendar. I want to make sure my email inbox is 0 before 9 a.m. And I want to make sure my Slack messages are all cleared out to 0 before 9 a.m. Guys, we are being proactive. Print and review my processing pipeline. So I will go to my CRM HubSpot and I'll go to our processing pipeline and I'll just make sure that as a sales rep, I'm tracking on everything that's going on, what stages those are all at, what stages all my deals are at. Again, this is relevant to me, may not be to you, swap it out with something else. And the last thing is update my Streaks app. And this is usually because I'm posting my content early in the morning. I don't like to, or at least I'm scheduling it to be posted early in the morning. I don't like opening these social apps in the middle of the day, except maybe LinkedIn. There's something that gets triggered left brain, right brain when you go from being productive and doing work. Maybe it was hard for you to get started, but now you're rolling. And then you go back over to not being productive, checking social media. Now I got to do this whole thing again where I got to convince myself to get started again. So updating that Streaks app is for me in the morning this early. It's saying I have all my content scheduled. So one of my streaks says content scheduled for business page. Bop, and I get to hold that down and say done. It's done. So other than that, I've got 3 other things under here that I just like to write every day. And I think you guys will find some value in these. Minimum conversations today. I usually put this between 10 and 15. I want to have at least 10 and 15 conversations. A conversation for me is any call that's over 3 minutes. So I am looking for 10 to 15 calls a day that are over 3 minutes long. To me, that is a valuable conversation. The client, I call them borrowers. You'll catch me doing that a lot. The borrower has been educated, all right? They're tracking on what we're doing, and I'm tracking on what they need. So I will put minimum conversations today, usually in between 10 and 15. That depends on how I wake up feeling. If I'm like, oh, my head hurts or something, I'll put 10. If I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to have a freaking banger of a day, I'll put 15. The next thing under that is my why. I like to write down every day my why. I like to write down that I want to buy a piece of property in Florida within the next 3 months, or I want to do this within the next 6 months, or just something that says, hey, you're doing all this shit above. Why? What's the reason you're doing all of it? And then under that, this is, again, only applicable to me since I'm really trying to challenge myself to stay as consistent as possible with the social media. I will put today's post. So what's your business page post today? Did you have one? Oh, you didn't have one? You have to leave that blank? Ugh. Let that eat at you for a little while. Luckily for me, I've been as consistent as I can be, and I have had one pretty much every day. And the days that I don't, yeah, it does feel a little crappy, but I move on. So that's the daily driver, guys. That is number 1. Number 2, I'm not going to spend too much time on this. It's time blocking, guys. If you were tracking on what I was saying before, I've already got 3 or 4 power hours scheduled, right? So now I've got 4 more hours of the day that I need to time block. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing with those 4 other hours, and I'm trying to drag and drop these onto my Google Calendar. So when my hourly chime app goes off and tells me that the hour has just changed from 9 to 10, I can make sure whatever it is that I've designated myself to do from 10 to 11 is being tackled at that time. That's time blocking, guys. Everyone should do time blocking. I absolutely love it. You don't have to block. This is what a lot of people confuse. You don't have to block every single hour of the day, right? If that's too overwhelming for you, start by blocking like I do with the Focus Mate. 4 hours for calls, 3 hours for calls, and nothing but calls, making sure you're being proactive in the fact that you are just doing calls. A little side note there, guys, that helps you get really good at taking call notes too. Like if you're saying, hey, I'm just doing calls this hour, even if they give me the data to run a quote, I'm not going to run the quote till after this hour. you're taking diligent call notes. If you're not, if you have to revisit that 50 minutes later, those notes better be good. All right. So that's what I do. I'm not saying you have to do it, but all right, back on topic. FocusMate, guys, I cannot say enough good things about this application. I absolutely adore it. I love it. I use it every day. Like I said, 2, 3, sometimes even 4 sessions a day. So all you're doing with FocusMate, either you're on your app or you're on your desktop, you're going to this website. It's a calendar. So you're blocking time and it blocks automatically over to your Google Calendar, your Outlook, whatever it is. And you're saying, hey, I'm doing 10 to 11 a.m. today. I'll usually do, again, 3 or 4 sessions a day. And you just connect with someone randomly who's trying to be productive as well. And the first minute, the mics are unmuted. Not even the first minute. It's like the first 45 seconds. The mics are unmuted. And you say, hey, these are my goals for this session. I've got 12 new inquiries that came in during the weekend. I need to reach out to at least 6 of them. And the other person will say, hey, my goal is to write 2 paragraphs for this book that I'm writing. And you say, all right, awesome. The mics mute. And then at the very end, the last 45 seconds, the mic's mute, and you're going to be able to convey how far you got into your goals. So a lot of times for me, it will be like, hey, I crushed it this hour. I got 8 out of my 12 calls done. That was 2 more than anticipated. What about you, Anna? And Anna will say, hey, I got both paragraphs done. It was a productive session. Thanks for your time. Deuces. And then you go on to the next one if you have another one booked. But the point there, guys, is it's an omegle for people who are trying to be productive and nothing but productive. Having your camera on and having somebody who's connected with you working hard as you're working hard, there's an accountability factor there that is priceless, at least to me. So that's my favorite app by far. I love FocusMate. I don't know how many calls I would be able to do a day without it. Honestly, especially cold outreach. For the cold outreach, it's awesome. I love it. All right, ChatGPT. So what I'm using this one for, guys, is I think I already kind of broke it down earlier in the brief blurb, but I'll go into it a little bit more. We are using ChatGPT to rephrase emails. This is crucial. I think there's a lot of tonality that is missed in emails, and this AI is just able to knock it out of the park. It will absolutely crush it for you. I can have it write email marketing campaigns occasionally. I'll have it write, maybe a response to something that I'm not quite sure of. I'll have it write some content ideas for me occasionally. But mainly, guys, I'm using this to reword emails. I was saying on my Instagram earlier that I had actually got a deal in from all ChatGPT generated emails. That is, I want to clarify, generated means it took what I had given it and it rewrote it. This is making it, hey, write this in a business tone and sound enthusiastic, and you tell it what you want to write and it spits back out something that's usually 5 to 10 times better than what you already had. So that's ChatGPT. So the Chime app, guys, I love this one. This is a free little app on your phone that you never have to open at all. You just download it and you make sure the notifications for the app are turned on. Guys, you can, especially as a sales rep, when you're going a million miles an hour, you lose track of your day. So much so that I have a clock on my desk, right, in addition to this app. But the Chime app is going to give you a notification every single hour, so you can know what you need to move over to, whatever that next time block is. The Streaks app, guys, again, I'm going to put this up on the screen somewhere, but I'm using this to track what it is that I have completed, right? So hopefully I'm checking this 3 times a day. Sometimes it ends up just being 2, start a day, end a day. I usually like checking it during lunch because I have a section of stuff that I like to do during lunch. Some of it's personal, right? Like getting in the sunlight. That's one of them that I like to do during lunch. And I'll notice that if I go a week without doing that, usually I'm a lot more tired. I'm a lot more exhausted as we roll into that weekend than I would have been otherwise. So this is just to track metrics throughout the day. So I'll have 6 things that I need to make sure I do in the morning. Again, this is all personal stuff, guys, but it's I need to make sure I do a cold plunge. I need to make sure I get hot, I get in a sauna, I stretch, I lift, right? I take supplements, and then I pack my lunch for work. And then I have 4 things I think that I need to do when I get to work before 9 a.m. Complete the daily driver, which we just went over. What else is in there? Make sure my Instagram and personal and business stories have been posted. And there's a couple other things. And then nighttime, I have a couple other things like, did I do my nighttime cardio? Did I do my daily bonding with Rachel? Did we spend 30, 45 minutes together? Did I do this? Did I do this? So, guys, this app is freaking phenomenal. I think it's like $4.99 on the App Store, but it's a one-time purchase, and they still update it. They're updating it every couple of months. So, again, this is just to be process-driven and be proactive as opposed to being reactive. And also, guys, this is metrics. This is data. Like, how do you get better? You analyze the data that you're able to collect, and you see what pivots you need to make. So all of this is also data for you as well. So you can see what it is. What are you wasting your time doing? Why aren't you making the dollar figure that you want to make? So, those are the 7 apps, guys. I am going to have some off videos on my socials later about ChatGPT, because that's a good one out of these that I can make good content. But the rest of them are kind of just straightforward stuff, guys. I mean, some of this you got to apply to yourself. But daily driver in Microsoft Word, again, just a bunch of stuff I need to get done before 9 a.m. so I can have a successful day. Time blocking, just, going in and telling myself, hey, this is what I need to get done today. I'm allocating these hours to do it. I'm doing nothing but these things during those hours. The Focus Mate, this is how I do my calling. I would be not a successful sales rep without this app. I absolutely love it. The accountability factor is priceless. ChatGPT, I'm using this to reword emails. Chime app, I'm using this to help me track on my time blocking because it's telling me every hour when the hour changes over. Streaks app, I'm using this to track all of kind of my personal goals in my life, so I can analyze that later and see what I need to change and what I don't need to change, and what's working, right? And then Evernote, I use this for everything, guys. I'm using this for do's. I'm using like I said, you heard me say my to-dos earlier. I'm using this for my social media content schedules. I'm using this for scripts. I'm using this for content ideas. I mean, Evernote's just amazing. I love it. They update it all the time. And what I love about Evernote is they legit have the best support staff out of any of these stupid no apps that you could possibly try. You'll get someone responding to you within 5 minutes of an inquiry and hopefully taken care of within 15. So these are the 7 methods that I implement on a daily basis to help me be successful in my day-to-day as a sales rep. I really hope you guys, if anything, check out Focus Mate. That is the best by far out of all of these that I've went over. Again, I don't know how I would hammer out my calls without this application. The accountability it provides is amazing. So, thank you for watching this podcast, guys. I hope those seven apps and methods are able to help you.